All right, expressing yourself. This is a kind of a branch of the video I just did, energy transfer and shit. Um, Expressing yourself is important. It goes back to being duplicitous. If you're one way around another group of people and one way here and blah, 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 you're never really yourself. And on the contrary, if you are yourself, you may feel apprehension toward expressing yourself due to how it may be received. And this is this goes back to the ego thing. How you will be perceived with the rest of the world is how your ego perceives you are being perceived. Right? Is its perception of how you're being perceived? Probably. So, what is actually important is how much weight you are putting on your ego's presence. Meaning, if you remove the importance of the status of your ego, you therefore remove the importance of the judgment that is being placed upon your ego. If you are happy and one with yourself, you have no room or you have no invitation for other people's judgments. So now, this is, again, every fucking thing I ever talk about goes back to balance. Everything I always talk about always goes back to balance. So, because if you get wrapped up in, I just don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks ever, you can lose compassion. And so, a balance of being one with yourself and being one with your decisions, regardless of what they are, as long as you can go on, what was it? What was the video? 5 minutes of discomfort is worth a lifetime of regret. Or fuck, I don't know if that's what I need in the video. But, shit. Oh, I'm losing the thought. No, I'm getting distracted. Okay, let me bring it back. Hold up. The ego's perception of itself and the perception of everybody else. And how the fuck does that have to do with... Oh. Being able to say, I, grounded philosophy, made this decision, and I agree with this because this is what I wanted to do, and it's right for my heart. That is you being one with your decision and being in alignment with the decision. And since you are able to be proud of your decision, you can therefore stand by it. So if other people are judging your decisions or whatever your actions or some shit, you must always make allowance for their doubt. You must remain humble in that if the world is telling you everything you're doing is fucked up, you either need to be really convinced what you're doing isn't fucked up, or maybe think about whether or not you're doing is fucked up. However, if you do too much, you're saying, what if the world is going to think this is fucked up? And don't ever do the thing. Obviously, there are universal shit that you shouldn't do, but as far as like, I was using dancing and the ego thing. Dancing is, I think, a really good example because a lot of people feel stupid dancing except for those who are dancing. And those who are dancing are likely not judging other people on how they are dancing unless they are fucking professional dancers and are in a position to judge. And even then, their judgment is only as valuable as the receiver of the judgment. If somebody was like, I don't like what you're doing, and you're like, I don't give a shit, and keep doing it, they just wasted their breath. And you can go unaffected. But typically that can only happen if you're proud of what you're doing. So with dancing, let's say you want to dance, but you're afraid, fucking whatever. So you can be proud of the decision of being able to consciously let go of your own inhibitions by going forth and seeking dancing, because you're only ever going to get good at dancing, if that's your goal, if you try. And anybody who judges you for doing so isn't somebody you should allow in your life. Just that fucking easy. And going back to balance and good and bad, in order for good to exist, bad must. In order for you to do anything, there's going to be a handful of people who agree with what you're doing and a handful of people who don't. That's just an is. That's always going to happen. So you have to accept that there are always going to be people who are going to judge you and not like what you're doing. And you don't have to put any merit on their thought. You can put all the merit on the people who are encouraging you. And if you don't have any of those, you don't have any encouraging people, and you have only people who are judging you on what you're doing, you must remove those people from your life, and you must be your own source of inspiration for continuing to do what makes you happy, or in this sense, expressing yourself. I think that's where the fights start. Expressing yourself. If you have a particular thought on a particular subject that might be contrary to those who are, however you cause yourself to be around contrary information, exchange of information. It's an exchange of information. It's a discussion. You don't always have to agree. Like, it's actually really valuable if people don't agree with you, because then you have differing thought trains. That's kind of what I'm doing here, just to kind of give people different ways of thought about shit, and to give a different kind of perspective, because happiness or non-happiness is a choice, and it's a perspective. If you think you're unhappy, you will be. If you think you're happy, you probably are. So don't ever fucking hold back from expressing yourself, especially if you know who you are. If you're learning who you are, how are you supposed to know who you are without expressing yourself? Otherwise, you're going to be an expression of other people, which goes back to duplicity. So always express yourself to the fullest extent, and you always push the bounds of being. I know I recorded some shit. I don't know if I posted the video. I'm like, but seek comfort in discomfort. So by seeking out progressively more uncomfortable circumstances, you get yourself into a position of tolerance for discomfort. And if you get to a position where you're tolerant enough, like pain tolerance, but discomfort tolerance, where you can endure discomfort with ease, then the judgment of other people or the ability to let go of your ego is within your threshold of tolerance. So always push the bounds there. Always push yourself to be able to increase your threshold for discomfort, because it allows you that much more freedom. The more freedom you've gained by increasing that threshold for discomfort, because freedom is uncomfortable. A lot of people like to think that it's not, but it is. That's its nature. And your goal by being free is to work yourself into a position where you are no longer uncomfortable. That's the journey. There's a goal. Same thing with expressing yourself, just in an intangible way. Everybody, typically children, start out willingly able to express themselves without fear of judgment from the world. And at some point, people become excessively aware of other people's, judgments and shit on what they're doing, and that ends up freezing the development. So you end up not doing anything because you don't want anybody to judge you, or you do what everybody else does even though you don't like it, just so they don't judge you. But notice how they've had control this entire time. As soon as you can take control of yourself and how much weight you put on other people's shit, the more primed you will be able to be to express yourself more consistently and without fear. And you should never apologize. You should never apologize for expressing how you feel, even if you're wrong. You're right. You are free to be wrong, because how else could you be corrected? If you were wrong and never expressed it, you'd never be corrected by somebody else who's expressing their thoughts, which would correct your thoughts. And this is a concept of what is correct. We're getting away here. So express yourself. Always express yourself. I love you.